welcome to Unbox It with Youth Hub Africa. If you're just joining us for the first time, let me bring you up to speed. So Unbox It with Youth Hub Africa is your go-to podcast for addressing, for unpacking issues affecting young people, not just in Africa, but also beyond Africa. And on this first series of this podcast, we have been discussing female genital mutilation. Female genital mutilation is a cultural harmful practice that affects millions of girls and women worldwide. And let me just give you the statistics. UNICEF states that over 230 million women have undergone female genital mutilation, and UNFPA also estimates that 68 million girls are at the risk of undergoing female genital mutilation. If that isn't crazy, I don't know what else is. So that is why we are bringing this podcast to you to raise awareness, create awareness, and ensure that this harmful practice is brought to an end. Well, in case you're just joining us for the first time, do well to subscribe, like, share this video to your friends, your family, your loved ones, everyone in your circle, and everyone in your network. So in the studio with us today, we have a very, very amazing guest. When I say amazing, she's indeed amazing. Come to think of it, if you look through our first 3 podcasts, I think it's just men we have been having. So this is our first lady. It won't be out of place to say she's our first lady. So with us, we have Miss Karima Bungudu. Miss Karima, we are really, really happy to have you in the studio today.
Thank you very much. I'm pleased to be here too.
Thank you. So Miss Karima is a seasoned development professional with over a decade of experience addressing public health challenges, gender-based violence, and harmful practices, including female genital mutilation and child marriage. Karima has also served as the team lead for the UNFPA UNICEF Joint Program for the elimination of FGM. Well, looking through your bio, something really, really, really important struck me. Do you want me to tell you?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, so it says here that you have your academic background includes a master's in development studies, a degree in economics, and a minor in French.
Yes.
It's the French that cuts me. Okay, I actually studied foreign languages
and
literature. So anytime I see French, I'm really excited because I'm a French buddy.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so probably after we are going to maybe have more discussions in French.
Of course, on peut discuter après.
Ah, merci beaucoup. Okay, so looking through your bio, it says you have over a decade of experience working around female genital mutilation, child marriage, gender-based violence. Can you tell us a bit about your work on female genital mutilation?
Sure. So, like you rightly mentioned, that I work for UNFPA. Yeah. I've been leading the UNFPA UNICEF Joint Program for the elimination of FGM, which was launched in 2014 in Nigeria. And it's the largest globally and national program providing FGM prevention and response. So we're working with government agencies, most especially Ministry of Women Affairs, Ministry of Health, to provide FGM response in Nigeria.
We have heard about how harmful practice, brings about this female genital mutilation. Based on your experience, would you say poverty plays a role in female genital mutilation?
Yes, indeed. As you mentioned earlier, also, FGM is a deeply rooted social norm. So therefore, poverty is interlinked with social and harmful social norms. You find that in many communities, families or parents, mutilate their girls, for them to be able to be accepted in the communities they're in, because this is what is expected of them, and as well as for their daughters, not to be promiscuous, and also for them to be marriageable. There are communities where if you're not caught, you're not considered as being marriageable. So that marriageability also, enables them to move to their husband's home, and also that lifts that poverty from that economic burden from the parents. And as well, you find that whenever there's poverty, there's very low level of education, very low level of awareness. So in many of these communities, there's high levels, and you find that high levels of poverty and low levels of education and awareness creation. So they're not aware of even the harmful practices or the harmful effect of FGM, both the long-term and the short-term consequences of FGM. So definitely poverty is linked with FGM.
So you're saying poverty has a role in playing in FGM. So I think the reason why female genital mutilation is still being practiced in this present is because normally I was thinking this practice is of the olden times, but it's still happening right now, even in this 21st century. So are you saying it's because of poverty, it's because there are poor people around, that is why this practice has not been eradicated?
No, so like I said, it's interlinked. So you find that even amongst the elite, even amongst the educated, because it's a deeply rooted social norm, you find that across all of the economic, maybe in economic levels, people do practice FGM. So FGM is not practiced only within people that are within the poverty line, but it's practiced across board, and it still remains a huge public issue in Nigeria. Like you mentioned also earlier, we have about 68 million girls that are at risk of being cut by 2030, and we already have about 20 million girls living in Nigeria that have already undergone FGM.
20 million girls in Nigeria? Is this
in Nigeria alone.
Or
yes. Yes, so this is recent studies that have shown that Nigerians, women and girls have been cut. Yeah.
So what role is UNFPA and the joint program doing in ensuring that female genital mutilation is eradicated?
The UNFPA UNICEF joint program is using a multi-sectoral approach towards addressing FGM. One, we work closely with governments, mainly Women Affairs and Ministry of Health, and we're working around, let's say, 5 areas. One, creating an enabling environment for laws and policies. So really ensuring the implementation of the VAP law. The VAP law is the law that prohibits FGM. So we're working with judiciary, with the law enforcement agencies, building their capacity towards ensuring that the VAP law is implemented in Nigeria.
Okay, you mentioned the VAP law. So can you just elaborate more on what the VAP law states and let people know what this VAP law is all about?
So the VAP law stands for Violence Against Persons with Prohibition Act. It is the law that that criminalizes FGM in Nigeria. So far, all of the 36 states across Nigeria have domesticated the law, except for Kano State, I believe, which also were working hard and ensuring that Kano State also passes this law. So, but at the same time, there's need for more awareness creation on this VAP law, because you find that one, Nigeria has very beautiful set of laws, but you find that implementation of those laws is very difficult, to implement. So the joint program is supporting the government of Nigeria towards ensuring that, especially people at the grassroots level understand that these laws even exist, translating these laws into different local languages to ensure that people are aware that this is a harmful practice and this is a violation of human rights, and it's unlawful to cut any girl.
You mentioned that UNFPA partners with governments and local organizations. So what role do the government play and the local organizations play in UNFPA's fight, in our fight against female genital mutilation, and how do we ensure sustainability?
Exactly. So UNFPA works behind the scenes with government. So for the joint program, the 2 lead agencies are Ministry of Health and Women Affairs. So Women Affairs is mainly focused on issues around community mobilization and awareness creation, engaging men and boys, engaging traditional and religious leaders, and so on. While for Ministry of Health, they're focused on the health aspect of it. For instance, we supported the Ministry of Health in developing the national FGM strategy and costed plan of action, which is currently being operationalized. We also supported, the Ministry of Health into developing a national protocol for the clinical management of FGM. So this protocol also is for healthcare workers, and it really gives them a step-by-step guide on how to address issues around FGM in the health facilities. We also developed training modules where, we train nurses and midwives into FGM prevention and response, and also how to treat FGM at the health facilities.
do you think non-profits or civil societies are doing a lot? Because coming up, I remember when I've been hearing about female circumcision, I heard it as female circumcision.
Right.
I didn't know that the right word is female genital mutilation.
Right.
So growing up, I've been hearing about female circumcision. They used to tell me that there are some villages that practice female circumcision. I'm like, who does that? Things like that. And still coming up, I'm seeing that we are still hearing of this, and you can see the large figures, 68 million, 230 million. It's a lot. The question is, are non-profits, are they doing a lot? Are they doing something, or are they doing enough?
So yes, so all hands are needed on deck,
Yeah.
and everyone is playing their role. You know, the non-profit organizations, the NGOs, they're really also we're partnering with them, and they're also playing a significant role towards elimination of FGM. For instance, Youth Hub Africa is one of our partners, and one of their main focus areas in addressing FGM is working with men and boys at the community level. We all know that at the community level, men, we have a patriarchal society, and many of these decisions are made by men. And today, if all men stand up and decide that, you know, we don't want our girls cut, we don't want our women cut, we're cutting these girls, you know, for instance, to stop them from being promiscuous, you know, to make them marriageable. So if every man today rises up in Nigeria and says, I do not want to marry a woman who is cut, then therefore this is something that will lead to the end, to the elimination of FGM. So therefore, you know, non-governmental organizations are very key towards the fight against FGM. Thank you. And where areas that UNFPA cannot reach, you know, NGOs, community-based organizations are the ones that can reach those communities. They're the ones within those communities. They're the ones that know the terrain best. So definitely, they do have a role to play.
Yeah, you said something really, really striking. I think that's the one thing I'm going to take. If men stand up, if men take a stand and say, no, we do not want women that have been cut. I think because the main reason why this thing is done is because of the men.
Yes.
They want to make women fit, in quotes, for the men. They want to make them marriageable, like you said. But if men wake up, stand up and say, this practice needs to be stopped,
Yes.
I think we'll go a long way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, what key indicators do we use, or do you use to measure the effectiveness of our campaigns? What are the key indicators that measure our reach regarding FGM?
Sure. So, so for instance, you know, the NDHS, the National Demographic Health Survey, is a huge survey that is recognized both, you know, nationally and internationally. And so this is one marker that we use. So for instance, if you compare the indicators around FGM from the 2013 to the 2018 NDHS, we've had a reduction of FGM by 5% among women and girls, So it is a huge, progress. You know, there are countries that have been constant in terms of their change around FGM for many, many years, and efforts are being put in place. And this is one of the challenges of social norms. It takes a long time, a long-term investment for us to be able to see changes. So for Nigeria, I think we're doing well. You know, we have the government commitment, and we're seeing changes. And maybe 5% may not seem so much, but when you look at our population, 5% is a big deal. 5% is huge.
Yes.
So we're really looking forward to the 2021 NDHS, which is due to come out by next year, and we're hoping to see, you know, more gains in the 2021 NDHS.
I'm glad we're making progress with this elimination of female genital mutilation. Well, looking at the Sustainable Development Goals, you know, we have 70 Sustainable Development Goals, and they are all meant to be achieved by 2030, if I'm not mistaken. And female genital mutilation is one of them.
Yes.
So, looking at everything, this is 2024. 2030 is
around the corner.
So, what happens if this practice is not eradicated or eliminated by 2030? What's the goal? What's the goal towards achieving this global goal by after 2030? What's the plan?
So yes, so the goal really is to end FGM by 2030,
Yeah.
and we're really putting all hands on deck to ensure that, we reach our target by that 2030. So for instance, for the UNFPA UNICEF Joint Program, we're in the 4th phase of the program. So we've had phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4. So phase 1 to 3 have been 4 years each, but for 4 years each, yes, per country, per program cycle, sorry.
Okay.
So phase 4, to ensure and to make, to intensify the commitments, the joint program now extended the number of years to 2030, just to ensure that we're able to reach our target. But however, yes, we've had setbacks. For instance, COVID-19. COVID-19 really set us back, and a study showed that we've had additional 2 million cases during that period of COVID-19 globally.
2 million cases of
female genital mutilation.
Wow.
So we've been set back. Then there are many other challenges. There's this challenge of dwindling, funds as well. Globally also, the focus has been on, on Ukraine, on other issues that are affecting people in other parts of the world. So therefore, donors, are also funding, taking their funds to address other issues. So you find that, the funding is dwindling. So therefore, we're really intensifying these efforts. We're calling on governments also to increase their budget lines for addressing issues around gender-based violence and female genital mutilation. We're also advocating, for state governments to do the same as well. Just recently in August, we had, we had a one-day summit on gender and social norms with Her Excellency Senator Oluremi Tinubu, the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, including all the spouses of governors, and really just to bring that high-level awareness on these issues. And also, we came together and they signed a compact of commitment that each spouse of governor will go back to her state and advocate for creation of these gender-sensitive budget lines to respond to these GBV and FGM situations in their states. So we're hoping that, we'll get there. We're not giving up, we're intensifying our fight and our efforts towards elimination of FGM. And we believe that, with the government commitment we have, that we'll be able, to address this issue. Perhaps maybe not to, to 2030, but, we're being very optimistic.
Yeah. Looking at female genital mutilation as a whole, you see that young people are optimistic. They want to join forces, join their hands together. They all want to be a part of seeing that female genital mutilation is eradicated. So how would you say UNFPA, how do you empower young people, especially young girls, to play a part in ending FGM?
The youth and young women and girls are at the center of UNFPA's programming. So for instance, on the joint program, we train young girls, both in and out of school girls, on comprehensive sexuality education, and we complement this training with digital skills, with other vocational skills such as, soap making, hair braiding, tailoring, and any sort of skill that they want to pursue. But digital skills is big as well. So these are the ways that we're empowering young people, and as well as ensuring that their capacities are built. These young girls are vulnerable, and we train them to become agents of change. And after the training, they go back into their community and they create awareness around FGM. So for instance, in Osun State, we had this young girl who went through the training, and she went back to her community, and she was able to convince the Oba in her community to abandon FGM in her community. So this is yes. So he stood up. He made a declaration, and he called the elders, and he informed the community and the community members that the community will no longer practice FGM.
Wow.
So these are some of the changes that we're seeing, and we're seeing this willingness and this energy from young people. So it's just a matter of catching them while they're young and building their capacity and ensuring that they have the right tools, to fulfill their full potential.
what youth-led initiatives or programs can you encourage people to be a part of in case they want to also advocate against FGM?
So I think one of the ones I can quickly say is, social media. Young people are very much, playing a very significant role in terms of social media. Every young person pretty much has a smartphone, so you can start from there, creating messages, creating content, creating awareness online, at the tip of your hands, and informing people about the harmful practice of FGM. And at the same time also creating softwares, mobile apps, that provide SRH or sexual reproductive health information, that provide information around FGM. So these are some of the areas that young people also, can key into. Just that digital, component is one area that young people can really play a role in, as well as engaging in community awareness campaigns, creating intergenerational dialogues where, you have the older generation versus the younger generation, really addressing these issues at the grassroots level. And we believe that with young people, we can bring about these changes. Sometimes, people say older people are stuck in their ways, but young people are ready to embrace change. And as soon as they understand and they know the dangers and the harmful effects of this FGM, they're willing to change, and they're willing also to be part of this fight towards addressing FGM.
If you want to create change in your communities, you don't really have to think of going big. You can start small. Like I said, social media is a great way. So with this discussion, we're talking of legal frameworks for ending female genital mutilation. Remember to subscribe, click the like button, share this video to your friends and families. If you have a comment for us, you can as well drop a comment in the comment section, and we would be readily available to respond to you. So back to you, Ma. Are there communities that are laid back into accepting this change? Communities that if you tell them, oh, look, we want to end FGM, and they are fighting, there's this sort of resistance. Are there communities like that exist?
Yes, of course. So you find different types of reactions from different communities. But the most important thing is, our engagement and our approach. Before we go into any community, we identify the community leaders, we identify the gatekeepers of those community, and we first of all engage those gatekeepers. And those gatekeepers are those that the community members that the community listens to. So, so we ensure that we work with them closely. We ensure that they understand, these issues around FGM and its harmful effects, and we try to get their buy-in. So once we work with them, it's not, a one-off thing. It's a whole process, So addressing a community can take even more than 1 year, for instance. So it's constant engagement, continuous engagement with these community members. And once they're able to understand this harmful effect, then you usually get their buy-in, and they usually take it on, and which leads to declaration of abandonment of FGM in the communities.
Have there been times where maybe any of these communities they have been so adamant, they have refused to let people inside, and like, oh, this is my custom, nothing you tell me will talk me out of it? Are there times like that, or do this, like you said, you go to the leaders, the people, do they readily accept you, or are there times that they have been so adamant and refused?
Oh yes, so definitely. So you find, sometimes there's a lot of pushback when it comes to, these engagements. But what you do is you constantly try to engage them and really try to put out the facts. We use data, we use pictorial, images. We bring in survivors themselves, that have gone through this FGM, and let them hear from the person that has gone through the FGM itself firsthand. So therefore, they can easily relate. Some of these men, they have daughters, they have wives, and many of them can quickly relate to what these survivors are going through. So we really try to push those survivors to really speak from that experience and from that perspective. So once you do that, you find that there's a bit of room for further discussion. So we take it, bit by bit, and we really don't force, from day one and say you must abandon FGM. We also have to understand that, this is a cultural practice that has been ongoing for many decades. These community members also were born into these communities, and they found their great-grandparents, doing this practice, and their whole aim is really to continue and to uphold this practice. So you can't come in, overnight and say you're ending this. So it's a gradual process, it's a continuous process, and ending harmful social norms is not something that is easy. And any social norm is difficult to address in a short period of time. Yes, so it's a long-term investment, and UNFPA, under the UNFPA UNICEF Joint Program, is committed towards, ensuring that we work with these communities to bring an end to this harmful practice.
Okay. Looking around your work with your years of experience, what would you consider as your most challenging time or one of your most pushback in your work or in your efforts in ending female genital mutilation?
So I would say maybe during the COVID period, because during the COVID period, we were all on lockdown, we were all on standstill. We couldn't travel, we couldn't move around, and you sort of felt, helpless. Like I said earlier, we had additional 2 million cases, globally because of COVID-19. And these young girls were stuck, at home, with their families, and it made it much easier, for girls to be caught because there were no movement. Everybody was all under lockdown. So I would say that would be probably one of the most challenging moments. But however, UNFPA made efforts in ensuring that, through our community outreaches and our partners that are at the grassroots level, we were still able to address some of these issues, continue to implement our activities at that level. But I would say definitely the COVID-19 period would be the most difficult and challenging moment for the joint program.
And it's our prayer, our honest prayer, that no situation like COVID-19 ever repeats itself, because even looking outside female genital mutilation was a problem for everyone. Businesses, everything. COVID-19, please don't come back. Okay, what would you say? What is the future of female genital mutilation? Are they technologies? Are they trends that young people should take up in order to see that female genital mutilation is abolished?
Yeah, so like I said, the digital aspect or the tech aspect is a huge one. I think, organizations like Youth Hub Africa really, taking up the social media space towards creating such awareness. And I believe if you want to reach young people, the social media or the tech aspect is the best way, to be able to reach young people. So these are some of the areas that I think that, we should focus on. And maybe in terms of emerging issues, which I probably didn't mention earlier, in the past, the joint program has mainly been focused in the southern part of the country, the southeast and the southwest. And, those locations were selected because of the then 2013 NDHS prevalence rates. So it indicated Ebonyi and Imo State in the southeast, then Oyo, Osun, and Ekiti in the southwest that had the highest prevalence at the time. So since 2014, our efforts has focused on those states. Then the recent 2018 NDHS indicated that there's FGM in the northern part of the country. So for instance, Jigawa State has, FGM as high as 63.8% of FGM among, girls aged 0 to 14. So these are some of the emerging issues, and UNFPA and UNICEF are working together towards ensuring that we also go into some of these states. Because if you put in all your efforts in the southern part of the country, then these northern states will bring down, all of our efforts to ensure. So really this is something that, we're doing to address these issues, these emerging issues that have come up.
Thank you very much, Karima. It's such a pleasure to have you in the studio today. So today we have been discussing the legal frameworks of ending female genital mutilation. So if you want to get to know what female genital mutilation is, the harms, the effects, I recommend and I suggest that you go back to our previous episodes and watch and get enlightened, and also take action. Don't just watch these videos. Ensure you take action to see that female genital mutilation is abolished. It's a crazy, crazy issue out there. And it's a wrap for this episode of our podcast. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and in all you do, be the change you want to see today. Bye.